Welcome to the new episode, Voice of Web3 podcast powered by CoinGate, where we connect with industry leaders shaping the future of crypto, blockchain, and Web3. I'm Yali, your host, and today we're excited to be joined by Eric Vreeland, Chief Strategy Officer at Polyhedra Network. With a strong background in economics and business, Eric has played pivotal roles at the leading companies like Layer Zero and People Data Labs. Polyhedra Network leverages zero-knowledge proof technology, which allows it to offer enhanced privacy and scalability for decentralized applications. By the way, before we proceed, I think someone from you still hasn't subscribed to our Voice of Web3 and might miss out more trendy discussion. So please, it's easy to do right now. Subscribe to our channel. Eric, thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you here. How's everything going?
Everything is going great. Thanks for having me. Thanks to everyone who's tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, and happy holidays.
Yes. Holidays is coming. So let's start from very simple questions. How you came to the industry?
Sure. I've worked in tech startups my entire career. I was an econ major in college, but I've always been really into computers and technology. I took a lot of computer science classes in undergrad. So I'm pretty technical. I'm enough to be dangerous, I like to say. And this led to me finding a nice footing in developer marketing and figuring out how to distill complex topics into something that's easily understandable by the masses. I've been involved in crypto since about 2016, but it wasn't until a few years ago that I made the jump professionally as head of marketing at Layer Zero. And while I was at Layer Zero, I met the Polyhedra team, who are really close partners with Layer Zero. And so when they were looking to expand their go-to-market side of the business, we already had a good rapport, and it was a great opportunity for me. So I was excited to join the team.
So how did you make a decision to jump into Web3? Like, how did you know about the industry? Or you just was deeply in the tech and this work came to you?
I've always been, I've always worked at really early stage startups, and I've always found it interesting just trying out new things. I think I signed up for Twitter, back in 2009. And if anyone remembers Foursquare, I was checking into places via an SMS and sending tweets via SMS. And so, when Bitcoin came onto the scene, it was something that was on my radar. I had friends that were that were mining Bitcoin. And I believed in kind of the core principles of the blockchain, in the permissionlessness, the censorship resistance, the immutability. And those principles were something that really resonated with me. And, so kind of stayed watching the space closely when Ethereum came onto the scene. And now you had this idea of programmable money. That was something that's very interesting to me. I'd always hacked on projects and built things. And, I had kind of tinkered around on a personal level for a long time, and finally had the opportunity to kind of make the jump. And now it's, something that I do on a professional level and a personal level. So it kind of combining both of those worlds.
And if we speak about developers who are not in Web3, but they want to jump, do you think it's easier these years? It's easy to to find a job in Web3, or developers have to have some skills for it? Because the industry is growing and it's not it's old. I mean,
yeah, I think right now we're in some people will consider us in a bull market right now. And I think that there are a lot of projects that are growing very quickly, and the talent pool of people that have actual Web3 experience is relatively small. When we recruit at Polyhedra, we look at people who have Web3 experience, but we also look at people who have, who don't have any Web3 experience, but may be successful in other areas that are relevant. And like I say, I kind of came from a developer marketing background. There's a lot of things that translate well from Web 2 to Web 3. And so I think that one of the great things about Web 3 is that you don't need permission to contribute to a project. If you're a developer, you can just build an application on top of one of your favorite protocols. If you're a marketer, you can get involved in the community. You can join the Discord. You can start to create social content for your favorite projects. So there are a lot of ways to get involved. Obviously, you can go through the traditional recruiting channels, but I wouldn't wait for the perfect opportunity. I would find something that excites you and start contributing to that project. And if you do a good job, you will be noticed. And you're also, up leveling yourself and building the skills that you need to be successful in Web3.
So like the main criteria is like you have to believe in the industry, in the blockchain technology, and what impact what impact of this industry.
I would say that is probably the number one criteria is, are you passionate about Web3? Do you believe in the core principles that it was built upon? Do you see the potential opportunity that blockchain technology and all the other associated technologies with Web3 could bring to making the world, more efficient and a better place? And if you do feel strongly, then there are so many ways to contribute and then eventually kind of make that jump to a full-time role.
Yeah, and as I told, the industry, like blockchain technology, even it's not brand new, and there are so many different directions of technologies at the moment because of like scalability of Ethereum and similar projects. So, can you explain in simple words what problem Polyhedra network solves?
Yeah, so Polyhedra is at its core a zero knowledge infrastructure company. And if you're not familiar with zero knowledge proofs, they're the ability to prove a statement is true without revealing the any underlying information about that particular statement. We were founded out of a research institute where our founders were completing their PhDs in cryptography, and we were looking for real world problems to apply this technology to. And so the first product we built was a product called ZK Bridge, which is an interoperability protocol that allows for the trustless transfer of data between one blockchain and another blockchain. In order to do that, we had to develop a very fast proof system. And our proof system is called Expander. It's currently the fastest proof system in the world. And the reason that we had to build something incredibly performant is because no one wants to wait for their assets to move between chains. If you've ever transferred your assets between blockchains, that can be some of the most anxiety-riddled time. You're like, are my tokens going to show up on that, on that other chain? And so we needed to build a system that was able to generate these proofs really quickly and verify these proofs really quickly. And after we built ZK Bridge, we started to think, well, what other areas is this technology applicable? And there are, proof of reserves, private transactions, and more recently, ZK machine learning, which allows for verifiable AI, which I think is really important. And we can go into more detail later, but there are really a ton of applications for zero knowledge technology. We build very foundational tools that can be applied across a wide range of use cases.
Yeah, we will speak more about it after like the main questions. Maybe this question is too basic, but I work in the industry for a long time, and I see that there are still some people who not convinced with terms like zero knowledge proofs and zero knowledge rollups. Can you explain the difference?
Yeah, I mean, ZK proofs are just the one piece of functionality that you need to create a zero knowledge rollup. So we think of zero knowledge proofs as a application agnostic technology, right? You can generate a proof of anything. You can generate a proof of identity. You can generate a proof of a transaction. In the context of ZK rollups, what they're really tapping into is this, ZK snarks are a type of ZK proof, and it stands for succinct knowledge. Succinct. Well, succinct is the first part of snark, and so the important piece here is that you can take a very complex computation and you can generate a succinct proof that can be verified on the blockchain. And so what this also facilitates is the aggregation of many transactions and generating a proof that proves all of these transactions are valid. And so you're saving space because you don't need to write all of this data on the blockchain, and you're saving time because you can batch all of these transactions together and just verify them on chain. So I think back to your question, zero knowledge rollups are a way that we are scaling Ethereum, and the way that they do that is by tapping into zero knowledge proofs.
Yeah, it's clear. So let's back to the scalability. So how do zero knowledge contribute to scalability, and what the impact on it? I mean, for transaction cost and speed.
Absolutely. So as I was just talking to, they significantly reduce the amount of data on chain. So for example, rather than a validator needing to see the details of every transaction in a block, zero knowledge proofs let a transaction be validated through a very succinct or compact proof that's significantly reducing the data size. They can be used to optimize consensus and validation by allowing nodes to verify a proof instead of re-executing all of that computations that make up a transaction. So that reduces the computational burden on the network, and they allow for batching of transactions together. So you can aggregate multiple transactions into a single proof, and this also reduces the load on the blockchain. So there's a reduction in processing time that results in faster consensus and transaction speed. There's a decrease in data that needs to be included in blocks and processed by nodes that leads to lower gas fees and transaction costs. And we're starting to see this play out in ZK rollups and ZK layer 2 blockchains. And with our new blockchain EXP chain, we're trying to apply these same principles to a layer 1 blockchain.
Got it. And if we speak about regulation, as it's like also really hot topic for the industry in general, and I'm not sure if technology is somehow related to these questions, but if yes, can you explain how ZK proofs can contribute to meeting these regulations rule?
Yeah, I think that there are so many ways that ZKPs can help with compliance. We could probably have an entire podcast just on this topic, but I'll go into a few examples. I think, everyone's familiar with regulations like GDPR and HIPAA that require sensitive personal data be kept private. And so organizations can use zero knowledge proofs to prove that they are in compliance with GDPR or HIPAA without actually revealing any sensitive personal information. Zero knowledge proofs also allow for selective disclosure, where only specific pieces of information are disclosed while keeping all of the other data private. So this might be particularly useful in the context of a financial audit or KYC process. In general, ZKPs enable the use of cryptographic proofs to verify that all regulations are being followed. And so you can really apply this across the board, but I do think that ZKPs are a very powerful tool to both for, following and being compliant, as well as proving that you are being compliant. Oh, I lost your audio for a second.
Yeah, sorry. And can you name success use cases where zero knowledge proofs integrated, and do you have any success use cases of this technology?
Yeah. So I think, we have hundreds of ecosystem projects that are utilizing Polyhedra technology. So I think I'd like to shout out our ecosystem. We have hundreds of projects that are utilizing ZK Bridge for interoperability. I spoke to earlier why I think that zero knowledge proofs are the end game for interoperability. I do think, although there may be a debate going on about the success of ZK rollups, I do think that ZK rollups are the future for scaling the blockchain. And we have seen, half a dozen pretty big name projects launch as ZK rollups this year. A lot of projects are working on identity solutions that are using ZKPs for identity. I think that we're continuously seeing the adoption of zero knowledge tech increase as performance and ease of use improves. And I think that we're extremely early, even though we already have hundreds of projects tapping into zero knowledge. I think we are still,
Yes.
in the first inning as far as adoption is concerned. And I think pretty soon, as these barriers around performance and ease of use come down, we're going to see zero knowledge play a role in almost every Web3 application. Not only Web3 applications, but businesses outside of Web3 as well.
Yeah, and there are many news that real businesses integrate some Web3 technology, like banks and different wallets, and it's really crazy. So yeah, I think it has big future. And as a chief officer, a chief strategy officer, can you tell us how Polyhedra networks stand out from other similar projects?
Yeah. So at our core, we are a research organization. Our founders met while completing their PhDs at UC Berkeley, and we've assembled an incredibly talented research and cryptography team, from Abner Jia and Tianchen Ji, our CEO and CTO, Jiaheng Zhang, our chief scientist, Zhenfei Zhang, our chief cryptographer. I'm definitely leaving some people out, which I apologize for, but our entire research and engineering team is top notch. And that is what allows us to tackle problems that no one else can. We're always pushing the envelope in terms of what's possible with zero knowledge tech. We, successfully built a zero knowledge secured interoperability protocol when a lot of teams were trying to do the same. And often, to be honest, a lot of those teams kind of pivoted and moved on because it was an incredibly difficult problem to solve. More recently, we just published our work on ZK machine learning, an area that, just a few months ago was purely theoretical. And now we have, our ZK developer toolkit is being used to verify, 8 billion parameter models, which seemed impossible, 6 to 12 months ago. So I think that our secret sauce, both from, an execution standpoint and also from a marketing and standing out from the crowd standpoint is we just try to solve really hard problems that no one thinks are possible, and we have an incredibly talented team. So we really try to stay on the cutting edge as far as, applications and what is possible with ZK.
Now, this is really good answer, because I really believe projects that have great team with a like deep experience is the most like prestigious and the most like important to stand out from other competitors. So yeah, completely agree. And you mentioned about the problem and challenges. So can you name at least 2 or 3 challenges that you've met dealing like zero knowledge proofs?
Yeah. So I think right now, when it comes to getting developers utilizing zero knowledge tech, there are really 2 different approaches being taken. There's the ZKVM approach, which allows a developer to take advantage of ZKPs without much change to their development process. So they can write their program in Rust or their preferred programming language, and then the ZKVM verifies the execution of that code. The downside of that is that this tech is still immature and it incurs a significant performance penalty. And so the alternative to that is writing application-specific circuits. So the benefit here is you're going to get much better performance than you would out of a generalized ZKVM. The downside is that there's a little larger learning curve. And so the applications that we're pursuing, like interoperability, like ZKML, they require this exceptional performance. They aren't possible without the performance that you see with the way that we approach it. And so we built our own prover. It's currently the world's fastest prover. It's called Expander. And now the problem that we're trying to solve is, how do we make it easier for developers to utilize Expander? And so we've built something called the Expander Compiler Collection, which allows developers to build their own circuits using GNARC and then compile them into an Expander-friendly format. In this way, we're giving developers an amazing performance and a simple developer experience. So I think, that is very specific, but I think to tie it back to your question, one of the main areas that we're focusing on is education and finding developers that are excited about the technology that we're building and making it easier for them to build. And so, we're constantly putting out educational material. In fact, yesterday we just announced the Explore Expander Bootcamp, which is a bootcamp, a 3-week intensive session with a lot of experts in the zero knowledge space, where we're really going to go deep in the weeds into how to utilize Expander, how to utilize the GKR protocol. And at the end of it, we're going to have a hackathon where we have a bunch of predefined tracks where we think that they can take this knowledge and they can immediately apply it to real world problems. So, accelerating the Ethereum roadmap, for instance. So, I think maybe I didn't give you 3 answers, but for us, it's all about, I think finding developers who are interested in taking the technology we've built and then incorporating it into their applications.
Got you. And you speak about education, and I have like one more question. What's your point of view? There are like, I think, at least 2 type of Web3 users. One of them is that are keen on crypto and they just making money, and the second one is people who believe in the industry and who understand that blockchain changes this financial system, like in simple words. And what's your point of view?
Yeah, I
These
think
people from the first rank, do they need to understand how this technology works?
no, I don't think that everyone needs to understand the underlying technology. Much like you know, eh, the majority of the world uses the internet, but probably doesn't understand how the internet works.
That's true.
But they see the value in it, right? Like they can type a question into Google or ChatGPT and they can get an answer, and the value is obviously there. It's like, you know, speed to information. And I think that there are a lot of uh, areas where the technology that we're developing can be, the value is as significant as the internet. And I think it's just taking the time to kind of, you know, again,
Transition.
do more education in the market as to
Yeah.
why decentralization is important. Why is trustlessness important? Why is verifiability important? These are all um, things that I think are somewhat abstract now, and so we have to do a good job of trying to
Educate.
really educate and share, you know, the benefits of these technologies. So it would be less on explaining how things work and more on explaining, you know, why
Right.
this is better than the alternative. And it can't be a simple, you know, 50% better than the existing solution. It has to be 10x, 100x better than the existing solution. Or, you know, people, there's a lot of friction, and people are very accustomed to, you know, going to their bank, going to the ATM, using dollars, etc. They're not going to switch unless there's, you know, a significant benefit to kind of switching there from the status quo.
Yeah, I understand. That's great that you have some educational materials, even if it's for more technical people, for developers. Yeah, I think it works for both audience, just depending on the like wishes. So yeah, and if we speak about trends, I think zero knowledge is really something that was hot the previous year. I mean, the current year, because it was like in each media there are many news about it, and I think it's really a hot topic for 2024. And if we speak about next year, what trends will be, and is there any new technology trends in blockchain?
Yeah, I think I still am very bullish, obviously, on zero knowledge tech. I think it is still one of the most important things being worked on in blockchain right now. I think that, as you alluded to, investors' attention moves very quickly in Web3.
Yeah.
Every theme has its time to shine, right? It's NFTs, then it's DeFi, then it's ZKPs, then it's DPIN, then it's RWAs. I do still think that zero knowledge is going to play an integral role in almost everything that we build on the blockchain. And in the short term, I can't really tell you what's going to be the hot theme of the next 6 months, but I can tell you that, you know, in the long term, the projects and the companies that are successful are the ones that are solving a real problem and are thinking, you know, beyond these, you know, 4-year cycles and thinking very, very long term. And I think that zero knowledge technology is something that is going to play a huge part in the Web3 space for the foreseeable future. And I think long term, I'm very excited, and honestly, I don't spend much time thinking about short-term trends. I'm not a day trader, so I just want to build something that's going to last, you know, for the next for my entire life.
But I think it's kind of safe bet for long-term holding, because even you tell that zero, and yeah, we know that zero knowledge is at his early stages. So yes, maybe it's a good idea to look for like tokens of these projects.
Yeah.
I'm
And
also not a trader, so just discuss this topic with you because I know there are many people who are like investors, like listen this podcast.
yeah, I will say one thing, which is related to ZK, but I think more specific, which is ZKML. And I mentioned this earlier. We just released our work on ZKML. It is now going from theoretical to a practical reality, and everyone is aware of the importance of AI in our lives and its ability to make us more efficient, to reduce the amount of errors that humans make. And right now, AI is very much a black box. You type a question in, or you put in some inputs and you get an output, and you don't really know what's going on. With ZKML, you are able to verify that the inference was done correctly, verify that the model that you expect to be used was used, verify that the model was trained on data you expected to be trained on. And so we're adding this transparency to AI, and this accountability, which I think is very important. And so there are some alternatives to ZKML out there. I think that they're inferior, and I think that that as the performance that we're seeing with our ZKML products starts to pick up, it's going to be the dominant solution for verifiable AI in the space. And I think that there's going to be a lot of work in this space. And so that's something that I am paying attention to. And I would recommend everyone do as well.
Yeah. Many like speak about AI, and I'm like out of AI topics and AI projects, but it seems that it also like AI will be popular next years, and it's at early stages as well. So maybe you can tell us more if you see that AI will be used in your work, like a developer, because I see some projects, just a few, that integrate AI in coding.
Yeah, I mean, I know that our team uses AI tools to make their coding more efficient. We're actually
And how was it? How was it?
I mean, I think it is. I mean, it's definitely improving our efficiency. I can't speak to, what orders of magnitude. I don't think we've done a fair, scientific experiment, but I do think it's helpful in certain cases. I think something that was really interesting that I saw is, the traffic to Substack is, down or is down substantially. And so like, all of these, communities where developers would go to ask their questions have kind of been replaced by AI that can help you get the answers to what you need, and specifically in these kind of mundane and repeatable programming tasks that you may do over and over and over again, or maybe across the entire world of developers, they're done very frequently, but maybe you haven't done it in a while. And so instead of going and reading the documentation and or going and forking someone's code, you can just ask your AI to build a framework for you. That's going to be very helpful. Obviously, there's still going to be a need for specialization and for expertise, especially as you get into these very specific and niche topics. But I do think it is going to be helpful. We use it on the engineering side, we use it on the marketing side, we use it on the business development side. We use AI across our entire company. I will even say, I'll kind of talk to one other application of AI that I think is really interesting, is we're starting to use it for our community, and specifically our developer community. So we have developed an AI bot called Rex, and you can go and chat with Rex if you're a developer and you're looking to use Expander or the Expander compiler collection, and you can ask it a question, and it already is trained on all of our documentation, and it's trained on all of our internal information. And so if you have a very specific question to how to utilize any of Polyhedra's products, you can ask this bot a question, and it will come back with a very helpful response.
That's really interesting. And where we can see this chat?
Yeah, I think we're gonna put out an announcement shortly about it. So that's my plug to follow Polyhedra ZK on Twitter, and it will be available to the public very, very shortly.
Yeah, that's really helpful and interesting that you come up with this idea. So if we start to speak about your next steps, maybe you can share more updates and milestones of Polyhedra network.
Yeah, right now our core focus is on EXP chain. I briefly touched on it earlier, but EXP chain is our layer 1 blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
And we are building this as the everything chain for AI. So we've taken everything that we've worked on from Expander and on the zero knowledge proof side, and we're going to make a extremely performant, scalable blockchain that also incorporates everything that developers need to deploy an AI application. And I think that the pinnacle of this, or like the most important piece here, is this idea of verifiable AI, utilizing ZKML to enable that, and then verifying those proofs on EXP chain. So, over the next, we launched our testnet last week. We have plans to launch our mainnet in Q1. We are spending a lot of our time working with builders to bring great AI applications onto EXP chain, listening to their feedback and making sure that it truly is the best place for AI applications to deploy. So that is, most of our time right now is devoted to EXP chain and improving that ecosystem.
Yeah, cool. And maybe you have as a strategist, do you see how you forecast the growing of the project, like any ambitious goal?
For us, ambitious goal, I think, is it's in the same vein, but we are having conversations with companies, outside of what you would consider Web3. Some really well-known AI companies that that everyone listening to this has probably heard of. We do believe that verifiable AI is going to become the default, and we are going to be the company that provides the tools needed to achieve that. So I can't share the specifics of the conversations that we're having, but you're going to see Polyhedra alongside some of the big names in AI in 2025.
That's cool. That's cool. Yes. So I wish that this project will grow very fast, and you achieve what you have planned. So I have more 2 questions. One will be what you advise to our listeners who was interested to listen about ZK proofs.
Yeah, we have a very, very engaged community. We have a team on our side that is always open to listening to feedback, answering questions. We've got dozens of ambassadors who understand our technology really well. If you want to learn more, I would say join the Discord, shoot me a DM, read our blog. We put out a lot of educational content. We actually do our own, kind of live stream show a couple times a week, where we try to do, topics going from, very non-technical all the way to let's dive into the nuts and bolts of how Expander works. And then if you are a developer, I would recommend, signing up for our Explore Expander Bootcamp. We just posted about it yesterday. It's launching in January. it is going to be, I think, probably some of the best educational content around zero knowledge that has been published in a long time. And I'm really excited about it. We have some incredible partners lined up for it. And yeah, join our community, engage with our content, and if all else fails, shoot me a DM. I will do my best to answer your questions.
Thank you. And the last question is very important, is what's your plan for Christmas in the year?
Good question. Well, I just had a baby.
Wow, congratulations.
I have a 3-month-old upstairs right now, and I have a 2-year-old as well. So as the family member with the youngest child, everyone is coming to us. So we have my family and my wife's family are both coming to North Carolina, and we are hosting. And my job is to cook something on the smoker. So I have to decide what type of meal we're having. But we are staying local and going to have fun at home.
Amazing plan. Yeah, so thank you. I hope you enjoyed this podcast as our listeners. And please subscribe our channel. Please leave comment below if you have any questions for Eric, or if you have any wishes, please down below.
Awesome.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me. Thanks to everyone who listened. I really appreciate it. And this was awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.